On October 26, 1979, Park Chung-hee, the president of South Korea for 18 years, he never expected he was assassinated by his most trusted confidant. And that's when the political situation was shattered. The South Korean government was left without a leader. Prime Minister Choi Gae-ha was acting as president. The head of the army, General Young Sung-hwa, he's ready to abolish the dictatorship constitution, in line with public opinion in the United States, to promote democratization than those who had been suppressed by Park Chung-hee. This short period of time, it was called the Spring of Seoul. Why was it short? Because the light of democracy was just a flash in the pan, before it was replaced by another fast-rising dictator. The famous Major General Chun Doo-hwan, the 12th president of Korea. He took advantage of the unstable situation. He staged a coup d'etat and arrested Young Sung-ho. He took over the command of the army. Why did he suddenly step into the center of power? Today, let's talk about last year's record-breaking movie in Korea, Seoul Spring. First, we need to understand the background of the time. Although the movie recreates the process of his coup d'etat, there are some very important points that are not clear. For example, at the beginning, Chun was still there, served as the head of the joint investigation into the assassination of the president. Why did he grow so big so fast after that? It's all about the structure of the military government under Park Chung-hee. During Park Chung-hee's reign, there were three pillars of power in Korea. Let's start with the army headquarters. Young Sang-hwa is the head of the army. He's a general. Then the Central Intelligence Department. It's a violent organization that's prominent in every dictatorship. Their heads are commonly known as the head of intelligence. It's very common in anti-Japanese war movies. The boss here is Kim Jae-yu, one of Park Chung-hee's closest confidants. He was also the second in command of the government at the time. But he's also the one who assassinated Park Chung-hee. And then there's the guard. His boss is Cha-ji. Why is a small guardhouse one of the three most powerful organizations? That's where we come in. Park Chung-hee's assassination in 1974. He didn't die, but his wife did. Since then, Park Chung-hee took his security seriously. He raised the power of the chief of police by a large margin, to the point where he could checkmate the army headquarters and the Central Intelligence Agency. He can even be arrested under the pretext of protecting the president's security, under the guise of protecting the president's security, who are considered a threat to the regime. A little security mayor who's been able to fuck with the big boys on the outside. This is a very distinctive feature of authoritarian regimes. The culture of retainers of the inner court overseeing the outer court. It's also known as the state of small circles, the politics of the secret room. Basically, they have a special relationship with the leaders, like classmates, close friends and relatives. They have direct access to the prison, so they have a lot of power. No one dares to offend them. Park Chung-hee at that time, through Kim Jae-yu, he ruled the country through the information of the coterie. Park Chung-hee's daughter. She's a close friend of the president's. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's go back to the provocation period. A few months before the assassination, there was a conflict between the two most important people around him. What kind of conflict? The demonstrations in Busan and Masan couldn't be suppressed. He wanted to be the second in command of the country and get rid of the intelligence chief. That's why he blamed Kim Jae-yu for his poor suppression. And Kim Jae-yu had a very complicated heart. He saw the wave of democratization supported by the US. The more they fought, the more outrageous it became. It was almost like they were on a collision course. It's rumored that they fought at Cheonghwa-dae. How did they fight? The ministers of Namsan have all told us about it. And then, Park Chung-hee saw Kim Jae-yu as the organization's second in command. He's also very dissatisfied. He's going to get rid of him. I've been in the intelligence business for many years. Kim Jae-yu knows he will be forbidden, so he killed by Park Young-hee and Cha-ji Chai. When the assassinations are over, he was not well prepared. Chun Doo-hwan got the news first, then got Kim captured alive and thrown into prison. As you can see, Kim Jae-yu's assassination directly eliminated two of the most powerful men in the country, as well as himself. If it's a coup d'etat, I don't understand what he did afterward. He planted evidence, but he didn't use it. After killing the president, he even tried to drag Army Chief Young Sang-ho into it. But it didn't take long for him to get caught. He was arrested. That's why, when this guy was being interrogated by Chun, he said he was trying to end the dictatorship, for the sake of democracy. In fact, he was not well prepared for the coup. Parasites of power. They're not good at anything except screwing people. And they think they know what they're doing. They're so arrogant. History is full of such people. buried countless dynasties. It can be said that Park Chung-hee's right-hand men at that time were all such mediocre people. This is one of the characteristics of authoritarian governments. The three pillars of power in Korea at that time. There was only one left. The army's chief of staff, Yoon Sung-ho. Does he have any ambition? It's hard to say. Because of the political changes at that time, everyone knew. As soon as he reached out his hand, the military and political power would be at his fingertips. And he seems to be pro-American. He was also a bit hesitant. So after the December 12th coup, he insisted that he had no ambition for the presidency. And that's in this movie. In his memoirs of the Night of the Generals. It's all in the name. With the help of a favor, he supported then acting President Choi in taking power. One of the few positive characters in this movie. First, he's not a member of a small circle. Second, he's a supporter of democracy. Third, he opposes military intervention. But he supported the acting President Choi Gi-hwa. This Choi is a diplomat and a scholar. He doesn't have a strong hand. Plus, his previous position was Prime Minister. Everyone knows the Prime Minister of Korea. He's a mascot. When the president does something wrong, he's the one who always takes the fall. That's also the most frequently changed position in the Korean government. It's also the post with the most frequent turnover rate in the Korean government. The average tenure of all prime ministers is very short. This is well documented. I won't go into that here. So that's it. A mascot can command the former junta's people? Obviously not. So, Choi Gi-hwa knew what he was doing. As soon as this big event happened, immediately follow the procedures of national martial law. Jo Seung-ha became the commander-in-chief. He's a pro-American. The former president's loyalists are still waiting to see what happens. They couldn't take command at all under such a situation. The top of the government, basically in a power vacuum. Those die-hard loyalists and power parasites, are they willing to be democratized? After democratization, will the money that they embezzled and took bribes? Will any of these people stand up to restore the old order? The answer is no. And so it will be. Our major general at this very appropriate time. He has a very important status. He's Park Chung-hee's godson and trusted by Park Chung-hee. He's also the commander-in-chief of security and the head of army intelligence. On the night of the president's assassination, he was the first to get the news from Yoon Sang-ha. He captured Kim Jae-gyu. So there was no surprise. With this big job, he was directly appointed as the head of the Joint Search Division, specializing in the presidential assassination case. The position of the head of the Joint Search Department. At first glance, it looks like a case commissioner. Nothing special, but if you think about it, he's got a lot of power. He screwed all of his political enemies, and whoever didn't obey was to blame. So in less than a month, he raised his power by a huge margin to the point where he was almost the second in command of the army. He's right up there with Jung Seung-hee, of course. There is another very important reason here. When he was young, with his best friend Lee Tae-yu, they formed a small group called the Five-Star Society. At first, it was just a way to avoid being bullied at the military academy, but later, Fist Hwan accidentally got on Park Chung-hee's good side. He kept recruiting new members to show their loyalty to the president, where they were all for the president. So they changed their name to Yik-sing-wi. In 1973, when he was promoted to brigadier general, Park Chung-hee gave him a car. By 1979, Yik-sing-wi was strong and powerful. The honorary president. There were even veterans in the military, like Chen Jong-tsai, the commander-in-chief of the 2nd Field Army. Most importantly, there are many young and strong officers in their organization. They're in every key department of the military and government. How powerful are they? Let's take another example. Cha Ji-chai and Kim Jae-gyu are gone. Brigadier generals and leaders of the Ilshin Society. They took control of Central Intelligence almost immediately, and the security office, called Fist Fighting Han. It was a no-brainer. He's got these two pillars in his soul. The Korean army at that time, it's a perfect replica of the old Japanese army. They only obeyed the orders of their immediate superior. To mobilize the brigade units around Seoul, you'd have to go through at least 2 levels. You'd have to communicate with the Americans. In the Fist Society, there are 10 fists at the division level. I'm not going to list them all. We'll talk about that later. Chun Do-young has gathered a large number of fans so quickly. As the power of John Do-yu is expanding day by day, Cho Sang-ha's side also felt the crisis. In case a new dictator rises up, so he decided to slowly weaken John Do-yu's power. He's going to replace the commander of Seoul's police force. This position belonged to the conservative faction, so he found a general who is quite upright. Yan Tae-maru. He's also one of the main characters in this movie. However, he first doesn't want to get involved in political infighting. Eventually, because of Yoon Sung-ho's repeated invitations, he decided to take over. After all, he's not afraid of offending anyone. On November 9th, at a meeting of the national commanders, Cho Sang-ha made it clear that the army should not interfere in politics. After the meeting, Chun Do-hwan approached Cho Sang-ha. He suggested that he withdraw Jang's appointment. Instead, he recommended his buddy, Ro Tae-gyu. But Cho Sang-ha didn't give him any respect. Afterwards, he was angry. He wanted to find out what kind of person Jang Tae-moon was. Jang Tae-moon met him and said, "Recently, there's been a surge in democracy. You're arresting everyone you see." In a few words, Chun almost choked and realized they're not on the same side at all. Then Tae-maru especially despises Chun. Everywhere he goes, he's surrounded by people. They are all villain. They are now official enemy. On November 16th, Jang Tae-maru was reassigned as the capital police commander. But he realized right away, this position was very embarrassing. The 3 brigade commanders under his command were all from the Yixing society. He might not be able to command them. Fist for Fist decided to find out more about Jung Sang-ho, to see if he has any intention of becoming president. Chun found $900 million in Chong Hwa-dae's secret vault. Out of those, $600 million was given to the ex-president Park Chung-hee's eldest daughter. $100 million was used as a search fee for the attorney's office. There's $200 million left. Chun wants to bribe Zhang for him to use them as he sees fit. If Zhang Shenghe takes the money, it means Zhang Shenghe has the ambition to become the president. After taking the money, Chun will follow Zhang. However, Chun directly scolded him for not following the proper procedures. Shouldn't the money go to the national treasury? He has no intention of becoming president. He's a staunch Democrat, and not a fan of the old military government's corruption and bribery. He ordered them all to be replaced. From now on, every 3 hours, you'll report on the progress of all cases. And you're going to keep it that way. So the 2 of them were at loggerheads. They got into a confrontation. Chun was scolded and was so angry. He had an idea of revenge. Jung Sung-ha must be eliminated. What is politics? If you don't like it, I'll screw you. On the night of the president's assassination, Jung Sung-ha was at the scene of the assassination, but he was next door. After the president's death, Jo Sung-ha realized that Kim Jae-gyu had saved the murderer. That's why he ordered the arrest of Kim Jae-gyu. He was freed from the suspicion of being an accomplice. Now, Chun Do-hwan wants to reopen the investigation on Cho Sang-ha. He's trying to paint him as an assassin of the president. The reason why the plan didn't do it right away is because it's too big a deal. Cho Sang-hwa suggested to the Minister of Defense to reorganize the military. Chun Do-hwan and his cronies will be transferred to the East Coast. The Defense Ministry overheard it. It reached Chun Do-hwan's ears. On December 6th, Mr. Fist and his buddy, Mr. Ro Tae-woo. There's only one way to break the deadlock, is to arrest Jung Shenghe. Of course, Mr. Liu wouldn't dare to do such a big thing. But Chun is in a position of power. He thinks it's better to go for it. I'd give it a shot. On December 8th, he talked to Ro Tae-woo again. This time, Ro Tae-woo was finally persuaded. On December 9th, all senior members and honorary presidents of the Yishinkai held a secret meeting. Because just yesterday, Zhou Shenghe had already promoted his close friend Zheng Bingzhou as the commander-in-chief of the Airborne Combat Unit. He's already working on personnel reforms. On December 12th, after the cabinet meeting on December 12th, he won't be transferred to an unoccupied post. His political career is over. So these people are just like Ro Tae-woo. Because as long as Zhou Shenghe is arrested, we'll be able to reverse the situation. But to arrest Zhou Shenghe, must first comply with the procedure before Chao Sang-hwa can react. He will be arrested. In that case, it's similar to an armed coup. So we have to comply with the procedure first. We have to ask the president to authorize it. And as we said before, after the death of the last president, the guards all became members of the fist fight. He's sure he'll get the authorization. Then it's all about the details of the arrest. We mustn't give Jung Sang-ho time to react. If a confrontation breaks out, there'll be trouble. So they decided to go to the president to get the authorization and arrest Jung Sung-ho at the same time. If they really bring down Jung Sung-ho, then it's a no-brainer. The revolution will be a success. Chun will get the top command of the army. All the generals here will at least get another star.